Yo, what's up, YouTube? This is your boy Alex, and not the time, it's time for another YouTube video. This is gonna be Sex Game top 15 badass supervillains of all times. It's not talking about sex and dating. It's just for fun entertainment. That's all it should be taken as. It shouldn't be taken 100% literally or serious. It's just good fun entertainment. You have entertainers that entertain people that play basketball, football, baseball, boxing, wrestling. You got people who entertain you in television and film, and you got people who entertain you when they do YouTube videos, and that's all you should think of it. It's just good, fun entertainment. Something to get you to laugh at, have fun, take you back to the days when you was a little kid, back in high school when you were playing basketball or at the park playing football. Everybody has their favorite superheroes, their favorite action heroes. Everybody has their favorite supervillains. When you read comic books, there's the hero, there's the villain, there's good versus bad, there's right versus wrong. Even in the video games, everyone has their favorite heroes and villains in video games. So this is for everyone. This is for men and for women, young and old, black or white. Just look at it as fun, exciting entertainment and nothing else. So don't take it personal or literally. It's just fun. I want to switch up my content. It's not good to always talk about sex and dating all day, every day. And I am going to make a future YouTube video called What Happens When You Talk About Sex All the Time and how that can turn against you. Right now, it ain't time for that video. This is where I switch up my content. Because I have a big video project coming up that's going to be called Sex Game, the greatest film directors in Hollywood. And that's going to be a very big video. And I might turn that into a 3-part series and give you something more fun and exciting than the usual content. So there's my content, and then there's what's going to be my new content. Maybe later, midsummer, we get back to our original content. So if that's okay with you, we're okay. Some of you are okay with it. Some of you are not okay with the direction that I'm taking my content. But either way, that's a part of life. Some people like it. Some people don't. Ain't nothing I can do. It's like when my mom used to tell me, you can't make everybody happy. So on with the video appreciation. Alright, coming in at number 15 is Ares, the God of War. He is by far one of the greatest super badass villains because he does things that most conventional villains don't do. Like, he doesn't just use his powers because he is the son of Zeus and he is the half-brother of Hercules. My version of Ares, the God of War, is from the 1990s television show Hercules, The Legendary Journey, because he does have powers of a god, and he does everything that most supervillains do. The reason why he's one of the greatest super badass villains is because he tricked Xena, the warrior princess, not once, he tricked her twice. And she also had his child. And they had a daughter. That's how cold Ares is. Like when Ares wants something, Ares gets something. And he doesn't care what he has to do or who he has to use to get it. And he even plotted against his own brother Hercules on 10 different occasions. And has actually fought his brother Hercules. Most of the time he fights, the fights end in ties. And then there's that one episode where Ares and Hercules was forced to team up for the first time together to fight a monster. Because the monster was going to kill humans and gods. And it forced Ares to have to turn to the side of good when normally he would never do that. And then after they fought the monster, he went back to back to being a bad guy. Now, there are other episodes where in Xena's TV show, he does come off as an anti-hero. He does kind of see the errors in his ways, but he only does it because it's Xena. When it comes to Hercules, he'll fight his brother all day, every day. When it comes to his father, Zeus, he'll fight all day, every day. But when it comes to a beautiful, attractive woman, which, by the way, that's his number one weakness, women, especially Xena. If you've ever seen the television show Xena, the Warrior Princess in the 1990s, it seems that only when it comes to Xena, then he'll stop doing bad stuff. So you mean to tell me it took a warrior princess to actually make you stop trying to, do bad stuff? That's amazing. So that's why he's on this list. Some of you may agree, some of you might actually disagree. Alright, coming in at number 14 is Thanos from the Avengers movies. Now, some of you are probably like, why is the biggest, baddest, badass supervillain of the Marvel Cinematic Universe placed at number 14 when he should be placed on the list much higher than this? Well, it's because he's half internal. He's half alien and half immortal. He's a part of the Internals. And they are making a live-action movie that's been postponed for another year and a half, where we're going to see a younger version of Thanos. Well, the reason why he's placed at number 14 is because it took almost all the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe just to see what he can actually do. Like, from the time you see him on screen at the end credits of the first Avengers movie, you just see him smile, and that's it. Then you have to wait until the second Avengers movie, where he got the Infinity Gauntlet with no Infinity Stones, right? And you just see him again at the end credits say, fine, I'll do it myself. And then it's not until we see him again in Guardians of Galaxy, what is he doing? Just sitting there giving orders, and he ain't doing anything. And then it ain't until we get to Thor Ragnarok, where finally now he wants to make his move, and then it goes into Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, where we see two different versions of Thanos. The one we got was like past his prime. He was a little older. He needed to be motivated. And we didn't see him do much fighting in the first half of Avengers Infinity War. And that was like by far the biggest complaint that everybody had. Like, it took almost the whole movie to actually see him fight. And when he did fight, you know, he had respect for Tony Stark, Iron Man, and Captain America. And those were the only two times he actually beat someone. Of course, there's the sequence where he just knocks out the Hulk. So he beats three of the best fighters, and then, of course, he has his fight with Thor. A lot of people felt like he just gave up when it came to Thor. Like, he beat Captain America. Before that, he beat Iron Man. Before that, he beat Hulk. But when it comes to Thor and Avengers Infinity War towards the end of that movie climax, he just gives up when it comes to fighting Thor. Like, in other words, we don't even know what would have happened had these two fought each other at 100% maximum of their abilities. And I'm not just talking about the Infinity Gauntlet. I'm talking about the way he just gave up while fighting Thor. And then when we see the beginning of Endgame, again he gives up when he fights Thor. It's like, what? Again he gives up? So when we get the 2012 Thanos from Avengers in Endgame fighting him, we get to actually see that Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America have trouble with that version. And some people felt that's the version we should have got for two movies instead of giving us two different versions. Hopefully when they bring him back, they just stick with that version. Like, I like the second version because it's Warrior Thanos and he's badass. And he actually does more fighting than just talking. Like, the first version, I felt talked too much. I'm just telling you my honest opinion on why he's lowered on this list. See, I like my villains to talk, but I like my super badass villains to actually portray action to show why they're badass. You can't be badass for all these movies and not actually do something. Like, he did do something when it came to it, but the way they did Avengers Infinity War, he needed the motivation to do something, where Warrior Thanos doesn't need no one to motivate him because he's already motivated. So that's the reason some of you might actually be already upset with where he's been placed at. Can't make everybody happy. Coming in at number 13 is Agent Smith from The Matrix. He's one of my all-time badass supervillains. What makes him a badass supervillain is that he has his powers right from the beginning of the movie of the first film, Matrix, where his powers are not just inside the Matrix computer program system. He has his powers in the real world, which makes him very dangerous and unpredictable. You can never tell what he's going to do because he's cold and calculating. A guy in a suit that looks like he worked for the FBI, the CIA, and then to have superhuman strength, superhuman speed, stamina, regeneration abilities, shape-shifting abilities, and the fact that he was able to do all of this while being nice and civilized is even more scarier. And the way that he would just say Neil's name, Mr. Anderson. And then when he gets beat at the end of the movie, you think that's the last time we see him. But then he comes back and he's able to make copies of himself. And then he steals a human host and infect that body so he could be inside the Matrix and in the real world at the same time and create problems for Neo in the second and third movie. And you can't tell me that's not impressive. I mean, the way he does that. See, everyone thinks the first time they hear the speech, it is inevitable. Well, I'm pretty sure Agent Smith is probably mad because Thanos stole that quote when it was Agent Smith who kept saying it in all three of the Matrix movies. It is inevitable. Makes you wonder, should there ever be a fight between Agent Smith from the Matrix versus Thanos? Oh, who gets to say the word? Because, after all, it was Agent Smith who said, it is inevitable. Just saying, if people actually think about that. Coming in at number 12 is Sephiroth from the video game Final Fantasy. Now, he's on here for a bunch of reasons. A lot of women think he's sexy and cute, thinks he's hot. You know, he drives badass motorcycles. He has this big-ass, indestructible sword. Now, he was a genetic engineered superhuman that became a super soldier. So he's kind of like Captain America, where he's got the superhuman strength, the superhuman speed, the stamina, the fighting capabilities. And when an alien spacecraft crashed on planet Earth, he gets infected by it and end up becoming a super-powered super soldier who turns against the scientists and fights and becomes obsessed with immortality. Yeah, and suffers from a split personality disorder. And then they have to create clones of him to fight